have prepared a very nice summary of the IGCSE African World Music. And before you start with the summary, go through all the papers and all the notes that you have on African music, that you have the background, that you went through all the Cambridge papers. Bite Size is also a very good site to use. And I like the Dr. Smith method. So if we start here, dynamics. Now with world music, the dynamics, that's the performers decide on the dynamics. Now if I think of African music, I think of the drumming aspect. Now the drumming makes that polyphonic. I have cross rhythms, they play syncopated and they play in layers because I have different djembe drums playing. The rhythm is the most important feature of African music. And I use polyrhythms there. Each drum plays one rhythm repeatedly, and we have it's accented. We have cross rhythms, syncopation. You know the meaning of the word syncopation, the offbeat. And I have ostinato rhythm patterns. Ostinato, the pattern is repeated over and over. Now singing is very, very important in the African context. They usually sing in the middle voice, and I have the structure of the songs. It's usually call and response, where I have a soloist calling out and the group answering in harmony. I have parallel motion, and we use harmony when we have call and response. Songs are inflected like spoken words. We have the songs are highly functional. We have tradition that is taught by ways of singing. And in the African context, we have slides and grunts and groans and yodels for expression. So we have all the ornamentation in the African singing. And singing can be a cappella, so that's without accompaniment. I can also have the kora. It sounds like an African guitar or a harp accompanying the singing. I can have all the drumming instruments, the djembe drums, the xylophones, the mbira accompanying the singing. But it's very important that you understand that the singing music is functional in Africa. The scale that I use is a pentatonic scale mostly. It can also be heptatonic, and it uses Western scale intervals. The structure in African music, call and response, listen out for that you have one soloist starting the song and a group answering. You can also have verse and chorus. It can also be A, B, A, B. So listen out for the structure, that you understand the difference in the structure. Now the melody, we know that rhythm is very important, but the African melody is something that it's a beautiful melody. We have ostinato singing patterns. It uses a pentatonic scale most of the time. Melodies are based on scales where the intervals are easy to sing. And it's also very close to Western intervals, Western music. The instruments that you need to know for Cambridge is the xylophone and the kora. So listen, we have lots of YouTube videos where you can hear the sound of these two instruments, and the other instruments are not important for your examination. Improvisation is very important in African music, and interlocking melodies, we have different layers performed. The texture can be heterophonic, where they all sing the same melody but in their own style, and it can also be polyphonic. Timeline is quite important. It's played on the cowbell, sticks or other percussion instruments. And the tradition, music is passed down from generation to generation verbally. Okay, so it's an oral tradition. The harmony is close to Western harmony in most of the African countries. We have a polyphonic texture. The harmony they sing in parallel motion, and sometimes you have a high voice and a low voice, and they sing an octave and they sing the same melody. We also have something called the Hemiola in African music, where you have, I've got a little pattern here, you have 3 against 2. So I have the cross rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the cowbell, for instance, will play 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And there you have this cross rhythm or the polyrhythm. Now there we have a picture of all the instruments that you need to know in your class, but for the Cambridge examination we have the kora instrument, and you will see that I hold it vertically, and I've got 2 sticks there where I can support with my hands the instrument, and I play with my thumb and my index finger. I play with both hands, the left hand and the right hand, and the kora usually has between 21 and 23 strings. Now here I have the xylophone. You can also say the marimba or the balafon. This looks more like a balafon because I've got the gourds at the bottom to make the resonance. They play it with sticks, and I play lower and higher notes. Wooden staffs that I have, and I play, you can also say with mallets. I play with mallets. So on YouTube you will find a lot of very important examples to listen to. I went through previous question papers, and these are typical questions that can be asked in the examination. What region does this music come from? And then your answer will be Africa. What is the first instrument that you hear? Now for this examination, maybe the xylophone starts or the kora will start. Describe how the instruments are played. Make sure that you know the sound of these instruments and also the way that they are played. The kora is held vertically with the strings to the body, usually runs between the legs, feels supported the body of the instrument. There are also 2 small sticks to hold the kora with your fingers and touch the strings with just the index and thumb of each hand. 21 strings are usually there, but it depends on the region. One hand will play 10 strings on the right hand side and 11 on the left hand side. Okay, and I play it with the thumbs and the index. In the xylophone, I have wooden keys or staffs, and they strike with mallets, with sticks. One hand typically plays the lower half, and the other hand plays the upper half. They can also ask you to describe the texture of the music. Now we know that texture can be monophonic, when you have one voice, heterophonic, when you have the same music but performed each in his or her own way. Mention if percussion or drums are added later, because then you have different layers to the music. So one of the answers can maybe be the singer starts, and then that is followed by instruments. Okay, because that's also part of texture. Call and response are also part of this answer, because it starts with one voice and later on it changes and it has another layer added. Describe the music played by the instrument. So maybe it's accompanied, maybe it plays the accompaniment like the kora, or ostinato is a very important word here. Maybe it has a pattern that is repeated the whole time. Listen whether the rhythm is syncopated. Maybe the music is in 2 parts, a verse and chorus, or it's A-B. Describe the relationship between the voices heard. Voices and singing are very important in African music. Describe what you hear. Maybe you have a male voice starting, and then another voice, male or female joining in and singing in harmony. Maybe you have a female voice starting and a group answering. Maybe it's call and respond. Soloist calls and the group answers in harmony. Maybe they sing using parallel motion, where they sing the same melody, but one voice is high and the other voice an octave lower. And how is this music typical African? And this is where your Dr. Smith method will help you. They always ask a question like this. And don't try to fit everything in. It's usually 2 or 3 marks. Listen what you hear in that specific piece of music. Maybe it's syncopated, where you hear that the beat that is stressed is on an offbeat. Maybe you hear polyphony or heterophony. African music contains harmony. It is repetitive. Maybe the accompaniment has an ostinato pattern. Maybe you hear different rhythms that I call polyrhythms. Maybe the singing is call and response. And maybe you hear the scale is a pentatonic scale. When is it possible in the African world to sing? Now, music is functional in Africa. From birth to death, we have stories that we sing to teach tradition or values in life, or show patriotism or religion. So we've got lots of different songs. So it's very functional. And it's important that if you get African music in your Cambridge examination, that you listen to that specific part of music that they ask and then answer the questions. Good luck, and go through this and study this, that you know it.